Religion must show much of its growth above ground. The flower and fruit of a holy life abounding in good works must be seen. It cannot be otherwise. But the surface growth must be based on a vigorous growth of unseen life and hidden roots. The roots of religion must go down deep in the renewed nature to be seen on the outside. There should be much of the invisible and the underground growth, or else the life will be feeble and short-lived and the external growth fruitless. Lord, I want to bear the fruit of your Spirit in my life. Please make my roots grow deeper and deeper. Fred Hodges, KKVV, Las Vegas.
Hi, friends. This is David Hocking. Folks, this is Real Impact Radio, KKVV, Las Vegas, Nevada. Christian talk radio that focuses on what God's Word has to say. And I hope you can listen every day. Remember this, that God, according to the Bible, loves the entire world. And he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God bless you. Hope you can listen to Hope for Today. God bless.
Hi, this is Pastor Rob Wright of Abundant Grace Church, and I want to thank you for listening to our broadcast, Grace for Today, heard right here on KKVV Christian Radio every Sunday at 8:30, Mondays and Wednesdays at 1:30, and now on Friday at 1:30 as well. Don't forget, Grace for Today, heard right here on KKVV Christian Radio, Sundays at 8:30, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1:30 p.m. Tune in and be blessed.
Has God been kicked out of public schools? Is America a Christian nation? Are we losing our religious freedom in the name of national security? Is religious freedom a gift of Caesar or an inalienable human right given by a loving Creator God? I'm Alan Reinach, constitutional lawyer and minister, and your host each week on Freedom's Ring. Saturday afternoons at 12:15, right here on KKVV Las Vegas.
This is Charlie Crosby, host of the Parting Shot program. Tune in every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. You'll hear everything ranging from how we got our Bible and what the Bible says on how to rise up from our fallen condition so that once again we can bring this nation back to God. Starting right here on KKVV 1060 on your radio dial. That's Saturday morning at 9 a.m. The Parting Shot on KKVV Las Vegas.
Red Sky Radio, Saturdays with Rob Walter at 7:02 a.m. In Matthew 16, verses 2 through 3, Jesus said,
"When it is evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and threatening. Hypocrites, you know how to discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times."
Red Sky Radio, Saturdays with Rob Walter at 7:02 a.m. right here on KKVV Las Vegas.
The views and opinions on the following program are those of the participants and not necessarily those of KKVV Las Vegas.
Welcome to Open Book Radio, a membership program of like-minded people. Your words should be heard to increase awareness of what you do. Become a part of a growing community and let Open Book Radio highlight you.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Open Book Radio. We are here every Saturday at 2:02 Pacific Standard Time, and we're here because we are promoting what you do. We love that you tune in every week, and we enjoy being here. We like to give you information that is going to benefit you, and today we have a guest here who is definitely going to benefit you because it has to do with cars. Fantastic, wonderful cars that we drive every day, and we need to know how to take care of them. So I will be doing the interview. BZ will not be here today. He is on vacation, and I hope him and his daughter is having a fantastic time at Knott's Berry Farm. Anyway, we have Frank Scandora here today, and he has a book, so I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. And it has a long title, so what I titled the program is Myth, Mistakes, and Money Savers. But the title of the book is How Do You Take Care of Your Vehicle So It Will Take Care of You? And down at the bottom it says Myths, Mistakes, and Money Savers, and it is by Frank. And then I'll turn to the back of it. Frank has his picture on the back of it, and it has some testimonies, people who have been going to his place, getting service, and getting excellent service. So, Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yes, it is, and it's great that you decided to come on and give us some information, because I think the information that you're giving us is very, very valuable. I don't know of anybody who doesn't have a car or didn't have a car.
And it's funny because a car is the thing we use the most and know the least about.
Exactly, exactly. I know a little bit about keeping my oil changed, and if the brakes squeak, it's time to get some, things like that. Just normal, simple things. But I don't know where sometimes to take it. I don't know if I take it and they tell me things, are they doing that because they want more service? Or what? Are they really concerned about my car or concerned about me? So I'm excited the fact that you are here. My first question is, though, you have been doing this for quite some time, and now just, I would say recently, because the book is not that old, you decided to write a book.
I did. I tell people all the time these service tips and you know how I feel about doing proper service on your car and finding a good service provider, whether it's me or somebody else. And it just got to the point where I felt it'd be easier to reach a lot of people by getting it in print and then getting the book written so I can get it to more people and they could tell people and they could share that information.
So prior to that, did you have something like a little brochure with tips on it and then decided to do something like this, or you just physically said it every time?
It was all in my head and I didn't want to take it with me and I needed to get it on paper.
Yes. Well, it is really an important book. I like the part about you starting about yourself, you know, why you got into it, how you got into it, and then moving right along. But I didn't include that in the questions. I know that you were born in New York and you started kind of hanging out there, you know, where people fixed cars, and that took your interest and you went from there.
Yeah, local gas station where I don't think you're old enough to remember, but some people my age remember you used to get the cars fixed at the gas station where you got your gas.
Yes.
Now you can just get your Twinkies and your coffee there.
Yeah, it used to be a little service place on the side. You pump your gas out here,
Yep.
and then if something happened, you'd go in there. Now, the thing that I like the best when I read that part is that nowadays kids don't know what to do or where to go, and they get in trouble. Back then, there was places for youth, you know, young guys to go and be around adults that could teach them good things to do. And so that was a skill that now you carry for the rest of your life, and you have a business because of it. Instead of going out and getting in trouble, being with gangs, you took something that you seemed to enjoy once you started getting into it, and you formed it into a business. So I think that is just fantastic.
Thank
That
you.
right
Yeah.
there is a testimony in itself.
And it was really cool growing up and literally hanging out at the gas station 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. When I first started driving, we had one of the gas crunches where there was a shortage and people had to get online. And it's so cool that the guys that were all tight at the gas station, we used to meet down there at 3 o'clock in the morning and fill our cars up. Open the gas station up at 6 and everybody got their $5 ration or $10 ration. So to be on the inside circle of that was neat. And to learn from these guys and that camaraderie was pretty cool.
Fantastic. Now, see, that part's not there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go to the first question, which you already explained to me why you wrote the book, which is excellent because we do need that information. But can this book really help people who don't know anything about cars?
It can, because I talk about building trust and I talk about being aware of some of the services that you need to do in your car, and I talk about how important it is to know what your owner's manual says. You know, there's kind of a joke in the industry, you know, I needed my muffler bearings lubricated. Well, there's no such thing as a muffler bearing, but if you don't know that, well, then you're going to say, well, how much, and go ahead and do it. And there's not really a lot of that going on. It's, I think maybe 5% of the shops aren't really rip-off shops, but they're just not very good at what they do, aren't willing to admit their mistake, and then just continue to charge people while they practice to fix their car. So, yeah, there's some rip-off shops out there. We've seen them in the news. That's a small percentage. And it is so important to develop that trust and develop that rapport. A shop of integrity will say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And then, man, that's great, right? Then you say, okay, good, these guys are pretty cool. And those are some of the things I talk about in the book, getting that kind of trust built up, knowing who's working on your car, and understanding some of the things your car needs and why.
Now, in that part that you just said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. If you did do that for some reason on something that's minor, would you say, can you please bring that back in and let me make sure I take care of that?
Oh, we have done that. Absolutely, we've done that. Just recently, we had a part that we did not need on the car. The normal procedure is the technician brings it back to parts takes it off the ticket, the service advisor sees the difference, tells the customer, hey, we didn't need it. Well, the paperwork got done before the technician brought the part back, and it was like $300. So the guy picked up his car. It was at the estimated price. He got exactly what he expected. So when we called him 2 days later, because we have such a setup for checks and double checks, and told him that we had made that mistake, he was absolutely floored. He goes, I had no idea. You didn't have to tell me that. You could have gotten away with it. And you know what? He's right. We could have.
Right.
I answer to a higher authority, as you know.
Exactly.
And all my guys know the integrity and the honesty comes first. And can you imagine somebody who works in a shop like that and then works for me and then has to go look for a job somewhere else and has to explain why he doesn't work for Frank anymore? So it's a pretty cool situation.
Right, right. You know, when I was reading part of it, it talked about the technicians and their qualifications. And then you also explained that a person can know a little bit about cars, come in there with their bag and start working and not have to take any tests or, you know, have a license. Here's my license, or here's my certificate to show you what I have done in the past. A lot of places you don't have to do that, and yet you are very picky when it comes to that, aren't you?
I am very picky because you're going to prove to me so that I can prove to my customers what you know. And it should be scary to people that the state does not require competency for somebody who's going to work on your cars.
Yes.
Brakes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would frighten me to think that anybody can put brakes on my car and doesn't have to be competent in it. So we go above and beyond.
Yes.
Our moral code is higher than the state code.
Yes, definitely. And see, when you said brakes, I thought about that. Okay, as a foreign car, no, are foreign cars much harder to work on than American-made cars?
Used to be.
Oh, okay.
And here's something a lot of people don't know. My guys are European specialists. And when we bring a domestic car in, they go, oh man, I don't know what this is. I don't know how that air conditioning works. We're not, and it's only because they're not used to it. So it really comes down to what they're used to is what they're experts in. It's like having your plumber try to work on your air conditioner. Probably not going to work out real good. Dynamite plumber, but he doesn't have the training and the depth for air conditioning, even though they're both in the house, right? So I think guys who decide to go into the European are just more competent and more comfortable, and the guys who stay with the domestic or the Asian cars are more competent and more comfortable in those.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked that, because, you know, with the American-made cars, you can check your own oil. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do on your own, so a lot of people used to work on their own cars. But when it comes to foreign cars, there's things in there and parts in there that they're not familiar with, so it would seem to be harder, but not
But
really.
it's because they're not familiar.
Oh,
And it's the
okay.
exact same thing for that tech who's just, you know, he's been Chevy Ford, and you go show him a BMW, and he opens the hood and he goes, I don't recognize this. I don't understand. There's really not much difference mechanically and electronically. The similarities are really very close. There's certain systems that vary and the way they use signals and things like that. But for the most part, they're basically the same. If you're a good technician, you can work on anything. And I've proven that over and over. I've hired guys who are really good in certain areas, and I've made them excellent in other areas. And that's, you know, anybody who's looking for an opportunity, anybody who wants to learn how to do something different should give us a call, because I will show you the training and the information to make you good on everything.
Wow, that is fantastic. So you did mention foreign cars. You do work on foreign cars? I mean, not foreign, I'm saying American-made?
We do service work for our customers, yep.
Oh, okay.
Because you can imagine maybe he's got a Mercedes and she's driving a Tahoe, or vice versa. So yeah, we'll do that for our customers as a courtesy.
Oh, okay.
We found that when somebody comes in with an American car who was not referred to us and who does not know us, usually has burned every bridge in town, and I'm just next on his list. And you know, there's some people like that. They just take advantage of people. They don't want to get a good value. They just give me the cheap thing and move on. So that's not our customer. But when we find somebody who is referred to us, it's usually because they've had a problem, they haven't been able to get their car fixed, can you please help them? And then we do help them, and then they understand the value of a premium service.
And I like that term value, because a lot of times people, they want things done kind of basically for nothing. Well, it shouldn't cost that much. Well, why is a part so expensive? Well, why do you charge that much on labor? You know, they have all these questions, so they'll go someplace else, like a to get their oil change, lube and tube,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
they think that that person, because they put the car up on the rack to do the oil, that they are an expert in other parts of the car. And it's not necessarily so.
It's not.
Yes.
And I have a story, and I think I wrote about it in the book, where we had an older lady at church who
Yes. I
her
read it.
brakes were completely worn out, and I felt so bad. And I said, "Well, I got to treat her like my grandma. I got to tell her how important it is to get her car serviced." And she says, "Oh, I get it serviced all the time at such and such Quick Lube." Okay, did you know they didn't check brakes? She goes, "No," because she thought she was getting a complete service for that very, very cheap price.
Right.
You get what you pay for, folks. It's no different in the grocery store. It's no different in the furniture store. It's no different in the car you buy, the tires you buy. You get what you pay for in the service.
Right. So when you're getting good service and you can consider that valuable, you're going to go back and you're going to go back. And like you just told the story with the one part that they didn't need, that's excellent because you're saying, okay, well, we owe you a refund because we didn't use the part that we said. Now, who does that? No one.
Everybody should. I
I
mean,
know.
how hard is that to say, "Hey, man, come
Yeah.
get your $300 bucks"?
And then what that does is it brings on referrals. Like myself, you know that I am a publishing company, and every time somebody contacts me is because they were referred because of the service that I give them and the quality that they see that I put in the book. And so they'll say, so and so gave me your name and number. And I mean, not just here in Nevada, but in other states as well. They'll call me and say, I was referred by so and so. So you are absolutely right. Now, one of the things that I noticed that you had was your mission statement, and it talked about that. So I haven't read your bio yet because we got right into it, which is usually unusual. But I'll tell you why, because my co host usually does it. So I kind of forgot about it. But let me tell you a little bit about Frank now that we've asked some questions. Frank Skindora is the owner of Frank European Service in Las Vegas and Henderson, Nevada. His company provides excellent foreign auto maintenance service and repairs for many foreign cars like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audis, Volkswagens, Jaguars, Lexus, and more. Frank has been running auto service shops for over 20 years and has been working on cars or in the car business for 35 years. Frank's mission is to provide honesty, integrity, and quality to everyone he serves. So a referral, he's going to give that same as if it was someone who has been coming to him for 10 years. This is me adding on. Frank resides here in Las Vegas, Nevada with his lovely wife, Deborah, and they are parents of 2 boys each and have 4 grandchildren.
We're up to 6 now.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they have 6 grandchildren now. Fantastic. So Frank is here, and he's here to give you quality service. And I named a number of cars that he works on. They would be foreign cars. Now, I'm going to ask you a crazy question. I drive a Toyota. Is that considered a foreign car?
You know what? That's a great question because there's a lot of Toyotas are made in this country now. And so it could have been built here and designed in Japan, or it could have been built in Japan. And I think anymore, the global market, it's so many cars, so many choices. BMW has a factory in this country. Mercedes has a factory in this country. Volkswagen, I believe, is getting ready to build in this country. They have one right in Mexico. So it's not like it was years ago when there was the big 3 building cars here and everything else was imported.
Oh, okay.
So maybe.
Okay, because I was just getting ready to say, so what does that consider? So we're talking about integrity. We're talking about courtesy to the customer, an environment where they feel comfortable and want to come back. You incorporate all of that into what you do. And so, of course, you're going to continue to get referrals and referrals and referrals. By writing this book, and I'm jumping ahead, you're saying that I care enough about my customers and other people who don't know what good service is and what a good value and quality is in taking care of your car. Now on here it says myths, mistakes, and money savers. So one of my questions is, tell me something about a myth that people believe that is really not true.
Tune-up. Used to take your car to the garage and say, "Bobby, tune it up." And you'd come back the next day or later that day and the car just ran great. And that's because there was a time when I could make adjustments to the timing and putting a new set of points in and putting new spark plugs and tweaking on the carburetor and cleaning this and adjusting that made a huge difference. Today, that's not the case. It really isn't the case anymore. Even some blogs report, get your car tuned up. And people keep advertising, bring your car in for a tune-up, $49.95, 4 cylinders, most cars. That's not going to be yours, and all those fine details that drive me crazy. What we have today is, at a certain time or mileage, replace your spark plugs. At a certain time or mileage, replace your fuel filter. At a certain time or mileage, replace your air filter. These are the things we used to do on a so-called tune-up that now they last so long, and the computers adjust so much on the car. You can go year after year after year and not realize you have a problem until something happens, and then the guy says, if you were to replace the spark plugs, it wouldn't have to be doing the ignition coils, and it wouldn't cost you $800 now. So there's things you can do now, all in your owner's manual. That's why it's so important to know, and so important to have somebody who follows that schedule. Here's something that's a pet peeve. Check engine light might come on in a car. And I've seen this happen time and time again. And they bring it to somebody who's not really familiar with the car. They're not really good diagnostic. And they put in spark plugs and wires and do these tune-up things. Disconnect the battery, reconnect it, tell the guy, okay, thanks for your money, have a nice day. Well, that doesn't fix the problem because they didn't do any testing to find out why the light was on. And then they say, well, we don't have the equipment for that. You need to take it to the dealer. Well, why'd you touch the car if you didn't have the equipment? And why did you even suggest parts that didn't necessarily may have needed it? But the customer should know you should do your spark plugs because, but your check engine light is on because, and then give you a choice of what you do. And that really irritates me. So that's where people feel ripped off because that guy was incompetent. Maybe it was a ripoff. So that's why it's so important to know what equipment they have, what training they have, what certifications they have, and are you competent to fix my car?
And a lot of cars are different. Like the check engine light may be for this reason on this car, but on this car it means another thing. I have my book and I look at it, and I have this light that comes on when it needs the oil changed.
Maintenance reminder, yeah.
Yes. And the first time it came on, it scared me to death because I thought, my car's getting ready to break. What am I going to do? And the book is right there in the dashboard, so you pull it out. And I had sense enough to do that, and don't ask me why. But once I went through the book and saw it and it, broke it down, I said, oh, I just need an oil change. So when the light comes on, I know it's time. They put a label and they tell you 35,000 miles or whatever the case may be, but who starts adding as they're driving?
And that's, we're busy. We don't have time for this. And that's why it's so important to know. And that's why the manufacturers put these warnings in the car, because people weren't getting them done. And then the cars are getting destroyed. Then you get mad at the guy that built the car like it was his fault.
So yeah, when that comes on, I know I need to get the oil change, and I take it and then I make sure that they rewind it so that it starts all over again. Because I know one time I did, and I left, and I'm driving, and the light was still on. So I had to go all the way back and say, can you do what you're supposed to do? And of course they did. I'm very concerned about my brakes because that's what's going to stop the car. So I make sure, and tires. It's very important to have good tires and don't drive them until they wear down to the bone and think you're going to stop, especially in the rain.
And thank you for that, because that's usually what happens in the rain is the tires get old, they don't have as much traction. We don't wear out tires here in Las Vegas. And I spend a lot of time on the freeway between the two locations, between Henderson and the Las Vegas Stars. Sometimes I'll take the 215, sometimes I'll take the 95. And there's chunks of tire all over the place, and there's cars constantly on the side of the road with blown tires and flat tires. And it's because they're not checking their tires. People are just assuming if it has air in it, it must be good. And you got to look at the tire. If you look really close, you'll see spider web cracking either on the sidewall or in between the treads, which means that tire's dried out and it's going to fail. And tire pressure monitoring became law for 2012 model year and newer cars. And so many people are ignoring that light. And we've actually had people ask us to disconnect it. No, we can't. It's federally regulated to be on the car, so we're not going to disconnect the system because you don't want to check your tires, because they're so used to thinking lights are for idiots. It's an idiot light, never works, never accurate. That might have been true in 1960, but it's not true now. I'll tell you what, cars have come a long way. If you got a warning light on your dash, please pay attention to it.
Yes, definitely. So do you think because of the weather here, the cold and the hot, that it does dry out?
It's the dry, the hot dry. The cold weather, not so much. It's the hot, dry weather. Tires do dry out. We call them dry rotted or dry rotten tires, and they're dangerous. And you and I have been here long enough to know if you're new in Las Vegas and it rains, stay home. It might as well be ice on the roads because the roads get very slick.
Yes.
And those older worn out tires do not have the grip that
Yes,
people
definitely.
expect.
And I see a lot of that, going in circles because the tires don't have the treads that they have. Okay, we're down to 4 minutes, and I have one important question I would like to ask. I heard that the life of the car is the oil. Is that true?
Yes, the lifeblood, and it's really the lifeblood of the engine. Because if you don't change your oil, you will not have an engine that lasts a long time. It's not uncommon for engines to go 250, 300,000 or more miles with the proper maintenance. But what you have to include in that is all the other inspections and any other fluids that need to be serviced at the same time. And that all goes together. There's a lot of check this, check this, check this, check this, check this on the list. And we've had people come in, grown men, is going, all you're doing is looking it over. Why should I pay for it? I said, you're paying me to make sure your car is okay.
Right.
That's why the manufacturer, not Frank, the manufacturer said, check these items. And it's very important to make sure you're checking everything and doing regular fluid maintenance on everything.
So when I took my car in to get the oil changed, the person changed the oil, checked the tires, and he said, you need your car flushed. What does that mean? Because I did have it done.
Okay.
But what does that mean? Was that the radiator or?
That's the question you should have asked him. What do I need flushed and why? Because there's a lot of shops that sell transmission flushes, which I don't prescribe to. The manufacturer says, get the oil pan off, look inside the pan, look for metal, look for wear, look for problems. Just flushing that fluid doesn't help you look for problems. Radiator fluid does need to be changed. Some cars it's every 3 years, some cars it's every 10 years, so you need to know your owner's manual.
Okay.
And that should be done on time. Don't wait for a problem. Do it on time. And that's some of the mistakes people make. And how do you save money? Do your services on time so you don't have problems later. There's rust inhibitors and boil-over protection and other things in the coolant that wears out over time. Brake fluid's another one that needs to be flushed every 2 years usually on cars. Very important stuff. So next time you say what and why.
Okay, fantastic. I did ask that question. I wanted you to tell the people.
All right.
Okay, so we're down to 2 minutes. Where could they find your book?
You can get the books directly from me. You can either send me an email to feedback@frankseuropeanservice.com, feedback@frankseuropeanservice.com, or call me 702-365-9100 at my Rainbow store. If I'm not there, the guys will put you into my voicemail. The books are $14.95 if you'd like to buy one. If you let me sign the book to you, I'll give it to you for free.
Fantastic. That means they have to actually come in and
Have
pick
to
up the
come
book.
in
Right.
and see me.
Can you please give them your website? Because
Yes, thank you. frankseuropeanservice.com is our website, and it covers both locations. And do we have another minute yet or not yet?
Yes.
We also specialize in hybrid vehicles, battery conditioning, electric motors, electric generators, and this is very important. If you have a hybrid car, under no circumstances do you want to bring to somebody who's not trained to deal with the high voltage batteries.
Fantastic. Now that's something new that I didn't know you do.
We did that after the book came out.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you got to get the book because it gives a lot of information on what you should do with your car. And I want you to give your website one more time because a lot of people will go there, and I know your number's there, your book is there. So.
Yes. You can get 2 free chapters of the book there to get a flavor for it. It's www.frankseuropeanservice.com. Access from all over the world.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Frank, for coming in. I'm going to hold the book up again so everybody can see it. Please check him out. He is here in Las Vegas and Nevada. Thank you, audience, for tuning in to Open Book Radio. You know we're here to promote what you do, and I look forward to talking to you next week. So tune in to Open Book Radio then. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for tuning in every Saturday at 2:02 p.m. to Open Book Radio, where like-minded people tell their stories. Poets, authors, small businesses, spoken word, and music writers come together as a community. So don't forget, tune in every Saturday at 2:02 p.m. to Open Book Radio here at KKVV Las Vegas.
Hey, this is Watlina, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel, and I have some questions for you. What is religion really all about? What is the purpose of a denomination? Who but who started all these denominations? The